It's finally here. Basketball season has arrived. Jon Scheyer has gone through the media day festivities, and we will be watching Duke basketball in action before you know it.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man. To Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is J.J. Jackson. So great to have you here with us today on Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. And on today's show, we'll continue to talk about Duke basketball as the Blue Devils went through Media Day festivities. They're inside Cameron Indoor Stadium ahead of the upcoming year. Found out some interesting quotes from Jon Scheyer and players. We'll dive into all of that here on today's show with our good friend Ryan Lavoie, who's back with us to join us on the program. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. You can watch our show each and every day on YouTube as well. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means so much to everything that we do here at Locked On Blue Devils, and a special shout out to all of our everydayers out there. We're on X at LO_Blue Devils. Follow me as well at _JJ_Jackson_. So without further ado, our friend Ryan Lavoie with us on the program. It's been a little bit since we've been able to get Ryan back on Locked On Blue Devils with us. But man, anytime we're talking about practice finally being here, you're talking about Media Day festivities taking place. I don't know about you, man, but that starts the clock. It tells us that the ball's going up in the air. Tip-off is coming soon.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing, JJ, and great to be back on with you. When we do this in football season, when you have media days in July, and now you do this with basketball season in the midst of football season, and it can't get here soon enough. I mean, again, there's so many great storylines to talk about. So excited for this season, and it does feel like it's finally just around the corner.
Well, anytime basketball season starts, a lot of the conversation will begin with Duke and what they're up to. Again, top 3 in betting markets right now when you look at schools projected to win the whole thing. And what stands out about this Duke school compared to others, Ryan, when we look across the sport, 5 guys returning, not a single player entered the transfer portal on the scholarship. And then you also look back at last season, your entire starting 5 got drafted. Kind of a banner year, if you think about it, with what Duke was able to do without actually winning the ultimate banner.
Yeah, I mean, and again, they got close with that too. But I mean, look, what a blessing, right? To continue that pipeline of talent that Duke has, getting it from the high school ranks, putting it right into the NBA, but still keeping those that are along for the 3 or 4 year ride, still keeping them in the stable. And look, that includes a little bit of everything for Duke. Guys that were highly recruited like Caleb Foster that continue to be a part of this Duke program. A guy like Maliq Brown, who they brought in late in his college career the season before, and he's still staying put. So what Duke is able to do is have a lot of stability in a time where in college athletics, a lot of teams across the country are finding anything but stability. So I think it's impressive that Duke continues this, where they can, again, put immediate talent in the NBA, be successful from day one with these guys as freshmen, but also keep some guys in their back pocket as they continue to develop in the college game and get more experience under Jon Scheyer here at Duke.
Okay, so media days here, you look for headlines that walk away from something like this, and a lot of times we're super excited about the year. You get a chance to hear from the freshmen for the first time truly on a big stage after the first couple of days of practice, hear how things go. But it wouldn't be a Duke preseason if the first headlines you hear are about injuries. And unfortunately, that's the spot where Duke has to open things up. We knew about the offseason shoulder surgeries that Maliq Brown had after dislocating his shoulder a couple of times last season. We learned today, though, he had to go in. His knee was operated on. It was a scope. Jon Scheyer says he'll be back soon. But right now, Duke is without Maliq Brown to open up the season. And it's just a bummer, man, because like I said, it just feels like to open up most seasons at Duke, there's an ankle injury, there's a knee that's been operated on, and here we are out of the gates. One of those returning guys is going to miss some time early.
Yeah, and look, I think the fortunate thing for Duke, though, is that as they continue to recruit. I mean, we just talked about what it means to continue to bring in these high level recruiting classes while maintaining some of your own players, or really all of your own players that did not go pro, obviously. Well, what that means is that you've got a little bit of both guys that you feel are talented enough to play day one coming into this recruiting class, and then also guys like Maliq Brown, where you would be comfortable and be excited to see their growth and see them still a part of this team. So with Maliq Brown's injury, I mean, yeah, you're losing a guy in the short term that is a really good defender, and again is a high energy guy. He's just kind of a glue guy, which every team across America needs to have, regardless of talent or what they're trying to do offensively, defensively. They need someone like Maliq Brown. So for him to be out is certainly a bummer. But again, you've got a plethora of guys that are going to be ready to step up. And again, this Duke team has, in recent years, in my opinion, tried to go deeper, tried to have more guys in the rotation. Well, it's times like these where it's really the reason why you do that. So I think Duke's going to have still some pretty good options. They've got a lot of lineup combos, as they did last year with all the size they had. They could go with a lot of different routes, and I think they're going to be able to do the same this year.
And I think that's where you start right away. You look at this roster, 5 returners, 5 freshmen coming in. One of the areas of concern would be that front court depth should injuries be a major factor that we're looking at. You've got Patrick Gongba on the inside. You've got Cameron Boozer, the talented freshman, coming in. Duke brings in Ife Ufuchukwu from Rice, although he's viewed as more of a practice player for this year's squad. So hopefully Maliq Brown's good to go out of the gates so that you can have some guys that you rely on there in the post. But when you look at this team, the second consecutive season where Duke does not have a single scholarship player under 6'5". They were the tallest team in America a season ago, according to Ken Pom. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're right there near the top. Now, there's not a Kamon Malawatch who's going to boost the height of this team, Ryan, but it's crazy to think about there aren't small guards on this team. Like the length and wingspans that'll be out there on the floor at all times is impressive.
I mean, I think this is a concerted effort by Jon Scheyer and company, right? Like that's always when you look at the identity of a program and you look at some of the key differences in how Jon Scheyer is differing from Coach K. I mean, look, Coach K had great teams in all kinds of ways, right? Like when you do it that well for that long, like you're going to have a little bit of everything. But in my opinion, a lot of times towards the end, at least, you were more focused on Duke's offense than their defense. Their defense was fine. It wasn't anything to write home about at times. Sometimes it was really good, but it was still more of an offensive identity. Well, with Jon Scheyer, he's getting these long guys at all these positions where it's easier to guard when there's a 6'6" guy up top contesting a 5'11" or 6-foot guard shot. And I feel like that he has really emphasized the defensive end, which is pretty impressive because the guys they get are still incredibly athletic. They're incredibly gifted offensively. There's specialists on this team. There's all-around players on this team that can score in every which way. And so when you get those guys to have that concerted effort on the defensive end, when again with that size that you're referencing at every position, it's just a lot of trouble for the opposing team to deal with. It's just a long night. It's a lot of energy because Duke is going to bring it on the offensive end, but now all of a sudden they're one of the nation's best defensive teams too. So I'm going to have to deal with 6'6" at guard, 6'10" at small forward, 7 foot possibly at center. I mean, depending on who it is. Like again, I'm just constantly dealing with long athletic bodies, and that's just not fun if you're a scorer to have a hand in your face that religiously the way Duke has been able to do it with all this size.
Yeah, Duke finishes top 5 in offense and defensive ratings last season. Hardly any team ever accomplishes that feat, and they were able to do that. Talking about those guards up top, really thrilled for Caleb Foster and Isaiah Evans to take that next step as the lead guards for the Duke basketball team, with Cayden Boozer right there behind them, and they'll get wing help there from Dame Sarr and Nick Kaminia. But I want to talk about the guys who were on last year's squad that got to watch Sion James and Tyrese Proctor set the tone. So speaking to Caleb Foster and Isaiah Evans, I want to hear from you, man. What did you see from Tyrese Proctor and Sion James there defensively, like we're talking? And what is it that Isaiah Evans and Caleb Foster saw from the bench that now with more playing time, they're going to set the tone on that end?
Well, so I think when you start with, again, Proctor and Sion James, I think the first thing with them is their attitude towards the game of basketball, because Sion James just had this workman-like attitude where, okay, he'll give you some offense at times, but he's probably because he hustled. It's probably because he was really smart with a back cut or a quick drive to the rim. Defensively, he brought that energy all the time. Like, he was probably made in a lab for Tony Bennett at Virginia. And Tony Bennett probably, I mean, I have no idea. I know he came from Tulane, but Tony Bennett would have loved to have had a Sion James ×5. That's what he tried to build his brand off of. And Sion James is just this connective guy where that energy and effort is going to be contagious. You throw it over to Tyrese Proctor, again, back to the equation I talked about earlier, where it's this long, lanky guard that is really fluid. He has no real big offensive holes. Yet, because he's the size that he is, he's guarding the perimeter as well or better than anyone in the country because he's still quick like a point guard. He still moves like a point guard, but he's like in a small forward's body in a lot of ways, at least height wise and wingspan wise. So when you see those guys that are older guys in the game, especially Sion James, when you see those guys guard the way they had, but still be able to have an offensive impact, that's what Caleb Foster. That's what these guys coming back this year, that's what they have to look forward to. And that's how they kind of get the formula for winning college basketball, right? Like, everyone's talking about teams getting older in general, all the rules with eligibility, transfers, you name it, teams in general are getting older. Well, if you're an older player in the sport, you know the value of defense, you know the value of teamwork, and some of these little things that maybe don't get box score statistics attributed to them. Well, that's also how you win games. And to see Caleb Foster and then Isaiah Evans, as you mentioned, try to learn from those guys what they can be and be true two-way players, you need that because they are going to keep passing that down to the next group of guys. I mean, it just keeps going. It's a culture thing. It's a part when every coach gets in their program, say, we need to build a culture. Well, that's a part of the culture, the veterans teaching the young guys. And I know that Duke has a lot of young guys that are going off to the pros in 1 year. But as we see, there's still going to be a couple guys that are still in that program. And so I think with Isaiah Evans trying to get more physical, I think Caleb Foster just trying to be more consistent, I guess, as a complete player in 2025, 2026. I think these guys learn from Tyrese Proctor and Sion James that workman-like mentality is pivotal when it comes to older guys and leadership on a great team like Duke.
No doubt. I mean, when you look at their offensive games, speaking to Foster and Evans, you love everything there. You clearly want them to take that next step forward. It's a matter of if things aren't going as well offensively, you can't let up on the defensive end. And when you play for Jon Scheyer, you know that to be true. And I'm expecting Duke to be in a good position there. All right. I want to talk a little bit more about some of these big takeaways, including the Boozer twins. College basketball, going to absolutely love these guys. We'll talk about that when we return here in a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. That's right. When you think about the best places to go and juggling and managing all of your finances, Monarch Money is the best. Most people can't even name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture in mind, you end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there are our friends at Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in just minutes, see clear data visualizations, get smart categorization of your spending, and so much more. When I started using Monarch Money, I was able to see how much I spend on things like food delivery. So now I'm able to budget smarter and save more. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Right now, use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Monarch Money is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, welcome back into the program. JJ Jackson and Ryan Lavoie here with you on Locked On Blue Devils. Duke has started practice, had media day today, and a chance to hear from the Boozer twins for the first time, talking a lot about their recruiting process, what it means to actually be Duke basketball players, as they made it known so clearly throughout their recruitment process. And you hear this often when you talk about legacy kids. They want to make their own decision and not just, hey, my dad played here, I want to play here. But now that they're getting to play for the same university as their dad, who had quite the career himself winning a national championship at Duke. Pretty surreal, man, that now we've got a pair of boozers that are going to be suiting up and playing very large roles for Duke this season.
A special family occasion for sure. And look, I mean, I know that Carlos Boozer absolutely allowing his sons to go through the process. I know that Miami was very involved there, but you got to be beaming with pride when your boys choose the school that you were so good for and that has continued to be at the top of the sport for so long. And look, from the brother perspective for Cayden and Cameron, like, it's one thing to play somewhere with your brother, and a lot of people do get that opportunity in high school, no matter the sport. But to say that you were good enough, both of you were good enough to play for Duke in basketball, that's special because, with all due respect to other programs, like you could go to a mid major, you could go to a Big South school, you could go to a Sun Belt school or something like that. And look, it's still rare. You got to marry up the talent with the age gap and all that sort of thing, but it is more foreseeable. But to get to the elite program in the country like this, to be on this stage, to be wanted, and to be expected to contribute right away. Like, again, Cameron is going to be the number one guy, and like he's going to have all the NBA draft buzz, and to a degree, Duke is going to really depend on him to be what they're capable of being. But Cayden is going to have a pivotal role in this backcourt, and again, these two guys can contribute from the word go. So it's just such a special thing, to be able to say that you were both good enough to be at a place like Duke. And then I'm sure Carlos is going to be at a lot of the games this year. I know he's got ACC Network stuff that he has to do, but I'm sure, again, he's so excited to see both of his boys be playing at his alma mater.
That is such a great point, because we saw this literally a season ago with Cooper Flack, who's got a twin brother in Ace, who didn't, he's just not Duke level. He's going to be playing college basketball for Maine, a lesser known tier there in the Division I college basketball game. So shout out to the Boozer twins for both earning this opportunity to play for Duke. All right, so the media day fun happens today, and Cayden Boozer specifically was talking about how good it feels to choose the same school as his brother. And Duke fans are already running wild with this. I would be lying if I said that I wasn't as well. But the quote from Cayden is, quote, "We'll get to play together for 1 or 2 years before." That was the end of his quote there. And Ryan, you're connecting you're connecting the dots right there.
Yeah.
Like a sophomore Cameron Boozer. Not likely at all. It's not going to happen. But when you get those, typically it's after the season ends when you're waiting forever for them to make a decision. Cayden Boozer, not as highly regarded of a draft prospect, although there are some early mocks that have him being selected. Very possible that he's a multi-year player. Cameron Boozer, for sure, destined for the NBA. I just never get this joy, Ryan, that it's early in the preseason and we're already speculating. Maybe there's a sophomore Cam Boozer.
Look, just flirt with me a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like I know that if you're going to be a top 3 or 4 pick at minimum, like, I understand it, man. Go get your money, go try to transcend and change a NBA franchise. But you love to hear the possibility, right? Like, again, I know we're 35 to 40 games from having to deal with that reality and see if it's real or not. But again, look, I mean, you do come to the school knowing that you have a goal that is both college and pro oriented. You want to be awesome from day one because A, you would like to be in the pros as quickly as possible, but B, you don't go to Duke to be 500. You don't go to Duke to be around a 64 team. Like, you go to Duke to try to cut down the nets. And so, I think that when you think those thoughts, you say to yourself, I want to make sure that although, yes, my ultimate goal is to be in the NBA and be a big-time player in the National Basketball Association, I want to make sure I did right in college too, that I played with my twin brother, that I did what I could for Duke, and that I succeeded with what I wanted to do. And look, again, the reality for so many is there's only one national champion. You can have a great season without winning the title. But again, it's just one of those factors in your mind where it's like, I don't want to say goodbye if I absolutely don't have to. And again, a program like Duke will make you think an extra second, even if it's just a little bit more lip service than it is anything. Dream on, I guess. Dream on. Flirt, like I said, flirt just a little bit. Just let me hear what I want to hear for a little bit.
I love it. All right, so another freshman for this Duke team that we're going to be talking a lot about this season, who played stateside as well, is Nick Kaminia out of Harvard-Westlake there in the California area. He was the last arriving player on the team. In some respects, people thought it might have been Dame Sarr having to go through the full international process, but because Nick Kaminia played for the Team USA U19 team in the FIBA championships in Switzerland, they win gold, and he's several weeks later than the rest of the squad arriving. Now he's gotten up to speed with practice starting. A lot of people making Con Knipple comparisons with just where he was regarded coming into the season. Because, look, when you're Cameron Boozer or anybody, it's tough to live up to the top recruit in your class. It was tough for last year's freshmen. There were 6 of them to live up to the hype of Cooper Flagg. That's why I'm so excited to see what Nick Kaminia is able to bring to the table. It's not fair to go Con Knipple right away, who ended up being the 4th overall pick in the draft, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if people are talking a ton about Kaminia once the season gets going.
Yeah, I've seen a few mock drafts with Nick Kaminia already, somewhere in that 10 to 15 range, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, back into the lottery. And look, I mean, I don't think that the mocks were better for Knipple when he
Right.
started at Duke. So, look, if I'm already sniffing the lottery, then I've got to be able to think that as a freshman, I mean, freshman stock can go so much more severely one way or the other, right? Like, I feel I've talked about this a lot on the show that we've done, that when you're a junior or senior, it's probably not fair, but I understand it, that you really can't do much to improve your stock. You can hurt it, obviously, but there's only so much you can do with great seasons. But if you have a great season as a freshman, you're 18, 19 years old. Heck, we'll give you even 20 years old if you're a little bit older. People really get excited. That's a couple extra years of development. You already saw what you need to see. Maybe it's the jump shot. Maybe it's how you get to the rim. Maybe it's your two-way prowess. Maybe it's your just leadership and court vision. I mean, there's a lot of different things that pro scouts can see. And so with Nick Kaminia, like, you see someone's got some size. Again, shocker. We've talked about that with this Duke team. And that can, if he shoots the ball, 40% from 3+, then you're going to talk about why not, with that size. And so, again, I think that the reality is that with all these guys, again, you've recruited great players that can help you right away. And no matter the role that Nick Kaminia has, because, again, I know there are a couple of factors in play for the starting job and that sort of thing. If he gets the starting job and he's able to put in double digits per game and be the solidifying force that Con Knipple was for that Duke team last year, where, yeah, Cooper Flagg's the dude, but Con Knipple can carry me in spurts now. If he can do that and be that for Cameron Boozer, then he's absolutely going to be able to be drafted in that top 10.
Excited to see this freshman class as a whole, including Dame Sarr, who we haven't highlighted as much. We'll see what Duke's able to get out of Sebastian Wilkins. All in all, really fired up about this group for Duke. A couple of more media day things that we need to touch on for Duke basketball, including foreign languages, fried food, and gladiators. What in the world does all of this mean? We'll tell you about that here in a moment. Our show today is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. That's right, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every single model. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move or be moved, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. The show today is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. As we know, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel wants to make sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. When we take a look at FanDuel right now for Duke football's game coming up this weekend against Syracuse, the Blue Devils currently favored by 5.5 points, a road game for Duke in their second ACC game of the season. And also really tight action NFL-wise for Thursday night football this week. Tomorrow night, we've got an NFC West matchup between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Seattle favored by just 1.5 over Arizona. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. FanDuel is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, here we go. Thank you for watching and listening to Locked On Blue Devils and making us your first listen and your first watch each and every day. Make sure you go check out Locked On Sports today after the show comes to a close. And as always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, so I talked about some teasers there going to break. A couple of really interesting things from Media Day here for the Duke basketball squad. We learned that Dame Sarr speaks 6 languages. That's English, French, Spanish, Italian, Catalan, which is a region of Spain, and then Wolof, which is a language native to Senegal. Also, Caleb Foster added tons of muscle this offseason. Associate head coach Chris Carrawell in his news conference said that Foster looks like an absolute gladiator with muscles popping out of his neck in a really fun moment. And then Darren Harris in great shape. He spoke candidly about how he has simply cut out fried food and sweets in his diet and continued to put a lot of work in the weight room. 3 fun snippets there, Ryan. Which is most interesting to you?
Well, anything involving food, probably. Although in this case, I'm disappointed because, look, let me preface this. He is great to do this. This is objectively a good thing for your diet. Okay, no questions asked. I, however, that eats fried chicken more than I should admit, and like sweets and desserts. I am very disappointed. As a not a healthy, as a very much a part of the food community, I'm disappointed in these developments. But again, I think it's going to help. It's going to help with everything, honestly. But again, more power to the people that can go on diets like that. I have not met that kind of willpower at this point in my life. Maybe down the road, but for now, I will see you at a local fried chicken joint very soon.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. The food's too good to pass it all up, but we love what these guys are doing with the Duke basketball squad. All right, Dame Sarr as well. 6 languages at just 17, 18 years old. Insane, man. I mean, he's been well-traveled throughout his life, already playing professionally there with FC Barcelona. So in some ways, I guess it makes a lot of sense. But to sit here and think about that, 6 of them, that's crazy.
5 more than me. I don't know about you, but definitely Same. 5 more than me.
Same.
And some that hear me speak sometimes would say probably closer to 6 more than me. But I think that, again, to be that culturally sound, right, and to be able to – because, look, we don't know where his career will go. I don't know if he will need that or not, but it's a great skill to have. I mean,
sure.
With the basketball world and – again, the aspirations that you have, we see an NBA that continues to have more and more international players. Just to be that culturally sound, to know that many languages. Look, it doesn't hurt anything. It's a lot to learn.
Right.
I appreciate the fact that you can. Anyone that can do 2 is impressive to me fluently, but to be 6 is very impressive. So, look, it's just another skill, and you'll never know when you need it. But it connects him to a lot of different cultures and a lot of different people. So it's really cool.
I'm just worried that if he's not practicing all 6 of these, at some point, I'll let a little pro tip here. The older you get, Dame, the memory's not as great, and some of those languages might fall off. So hopefully he's got various ways to be practicing those things and whatnot. So basketball season is here. It's crazy to think about the fact literally next Friday is going to be countdown to craziness when Duke's tip-off event comes around. They've got exhibition games against UCF and Tennessee, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, jumping into a really talented schedule. First game of the year coming up against Texas in Charlotte. It's here, man. It's here.
It is, and I think I told you this recently. The exhibition schedules now are even getting to be more of a bear. I mean, like, I guess it doesn't matter if it's a bear, right? Like, you're just trying to improve yourself and see where you're at. But, I mean, we're not that far removed from where you'd still play 2 exhibition games, but one would be a secret scrimmage where you can only report certain things and no one can eyeball this except for certain people. And then you would play like a D2 school or something like that, or a lot of schools would. Some schools would still play someone a little more
absolutely
reputable.
Yeah, you'd go with D3, D2, whatever you can just get a run in, man.
100%. You're learning schools. You don't even know the mascot. have to theorize about what colors they even are.
The
Like,
ESPN app is having a panic attack over this page that they're trying to send you
right. Like,
to.
I think they're in the state of North Carolina. Oh, no, they're in Montana. Okay, I missed it by a little bit. Yeah, I mean, again, it's become even more so. And I think that it kind of marries up to what we've seen with the non-conference schedule, right? Like, everyone is playing in more challenges, more tournaments. The Players Era Festival is a huge thing now. Like, everyone's beefing up their non-conference schedule, and it's bleeding into the exhibition schedule where you're playing Power Four competition out in the open for anyone to see now.
Ryan, my friend, you know a whole lot of basketball, and I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to chat with me here today.
You're too kind. I certainly appreciate you it's not for me to appreciate you being here, is it? I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, JJ, as always, and look forward to talking ball again soon.
All right, that's Ryan Lavoie joining us here on Locked on Blue Devils today. Go support his work. Follow him on X at Ryan Lavoie0. Follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils. Subscribe to our YouTube page, and also make sure you subscribe wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Coming up tomorrow, we've got a special Locked On crossover. Jackson Holzer will stop by where we're talking all things Duke and Syracuse, previewing the game for you in great detail. All right, that does it for our show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.